Here's another one that no one ever talks about. If you're a mother of 4, you get 5 votes. Think about what that would change in the city overnight. How hard would it be to cut children's services if the advocates of children, the parents, carried their votes with them until they're 18? Mm-hmm. Would you touch a library? Would you close a child care center? You wouldn't touch them.
Certainly get a lot more women elected too, I suspect.
You would get, I mean, no, but this is actually really serious. And I think this is when we talk about the next election, this is really serious. If we, instead of trying to become a world-class city, whatever that means, and the pursuit of a casino is as emblematic of that, is about as bizarre as the thing I've ever heard. But think about a city that decided to become the greatest city in the world to be a kid. Think of what that would entail, right? Free transit, libraries open all the time, community centers full of programs that engage you culturally and athletically. Think about housing for kids and housing for families and the support that we can provide through our tax base for a better educational system. Make our kids smarter and healthier, more imagination, but just happier alone. Think of what that would do to the city in 10 years, in 20 years. You wouldn't have this concept of Harris's kids lining up to get into prison programs. Right? You wouldn't have that. What you'd have is some of the most creative, amazing citizens being incubated in the city and transforming overnight the social outcomes and the economic outcomes of Toronto. People would be flocking to the city to look at these beautiful children. And when you think of it this way, this is not about being a parent and about having kids and all that sort of stuff. It's also making sure that the choices that kids make them stronger and better and smarter and happier as well. And that means that as a center for the gay and lesbian community, which may not see itself in this role primarily, they too would have a role in making their kids happy because they knew as kids they weren't happy. It would change this city forever. And I think it would change politics forever. And I don't think it would be described as left or right or downtown a suburb. I don't think it would be intergenerational in the way that's usually used. I think the one thing you can get out of a grandparent is empathy and support for a grandchild. It brings out the best in us because it brings out our support for the other. And if we could create a politics around the child in the city, it would universalize all that's good about humanity in a minute, and we would walk away with the next election. And that comes from that idea of electoral reform. Give kids the vote, but only if their parents bring them to the polling station. It'll be a family conversation about who you're voting for. Kids will know which candidate. Kids know which candidate is good for kids. They get it. They have a natural sense of that justice. That's what I think we ought to be focusing on, and that is where I think electoral reform could really change the world.